Hello, my name is Senior Master Sergeant Charles Stoyer. I'm the Civil Engineering Operations Manager at 1st Air Force, Air Forces Northern, Tyndall Air Force Base, Florida. Today my briefing will cover the North American Aerospace Defense Command and U.S. Northern Command, better known as NORAD Northcom. The National Security Strategy directs NORAD Northcom to defend, secure, and defeat all acts of aggression by conducting aerospace warning, aerospace control, and maritime warning in defense of North America. At 8:46 on September 11, 2001, we were attacked by terrorists. I'm not sure where you were, but I was a letter carrier in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I was just on my morning rounds at the doctor's office when I walked into their waiting room and I saw the first aircraft hit the tower. I asked the receptionist what was going on, and she didn't know. And shortly after that, we had several people in the waiting room that were just in utter disbelief. That utter disbelief then turned to horror for me, and as the day unfolded, it turned into anger and the feelings of just wanting to have revenge. The mission of NORAD Northcom is to go ahead and to take away that terror, fear, and those feelings that those people tried to instill in Americans. Let's go ahead and take a look at the overview of our briefing here today, and then we're going to look at the significant milestones of the history of the command, and we're going to take a look at the 3 mission sets that we fly every day, which is a 24/7, 365 aerospace control alert, the Defense Support to Civil Authorities, or DSCA, and a theater security cooperation we have with Mexico. And we threw in the last one there, the Santa tracker that NORAD does every year. Let's go ahead and take a look at the early years of the history of the command. In 1947, the Air Force separated from the Army Air Corps and formed its own service. As the Cold War started ratcheting up during those early years in the 50s, the Air Force saw a need to go ahead and provide the Air Defense Command for the continental United States, securing its borders from long-range bomber missions from the Russians. In 1954, DoD saw that there was a need to go ahead and make a multi-service joint component under a unified command, better known as the Continental Air Defense Command. With that, then, we started a liaison program with the Canadians, and we saw the need to go ahead and partner with them to go ahead and put up these radar warning systems all along our borders and in the northern part of Canada, which was the easiest and shortest route for the Russians to come and make an attack on the North American continent. Then in 1957, as this relationship matured, then they stood up what is the present day North American Aerospace Defense Command, or better known as NORAD. In 1958, the governments formally ratified the agreements forming the first binational command of NORAD. And when we get turned into the 60s and the evolving threat from the Cold War, you have the Bay of Pigs, the Cuban Missile Crisis, and then we have the race to space, which helped our technological advances that made our missile detection system and space surveillance even more important to the NORAD mission. During the 70s then, and with the threat of intercontinental ballistic missiles and longer range threats, we wanted to continue to upgrade those radar systems, and then we also saw the need that we needed a command and control communication center in the event of an all-out nuclear war for our Department of Defense and for the President to fall back to. Then in 1980, President Reagan signed into law the war against drugs, and with that then tasked NORAD to track and detect aircraft moving across border that would be taking part in narco trade and human trafficking. Post-Cold War, the fall of Berlin Wall then saw some of that escalation of nuclear threat decrease, but we also saw then that we had a chink in the armor and that we were having a difficult time detecting threats under 10,000 feet. So there was an Aerostat program, which is pretty much a tethered blimp with a radar capability that can detect movement under 10,000 feet. So this isn't something else that we put into, incorporated into the NORAD mission at several locations along our borders. Then, after the terrorist attacks on 9/11, Congress passed Operation Noble Eagle, which is several fighter wings all across the country that can scramble a jet within minutes anytime that our Eastern Air Defense Sector or Western Air Defense Sector detects an aircraft off of its flight path or enters a restricted airspace. And we also go ahead and we plus up personnel and security during national special security events such as the G8 Summit, the State of the Union Address, Super Bowls, any place, any time the large masses of Americans go in one place and become a soft target. Then in October 2002, is the first time since George Washington that we've had one single commander to command all the troops under the continental United States with the stand-up, the U.S. Northern Command or NORTHCOM. Let's move on to the mission sets of what we do every day. And once again, this is where we should have a better feeling that the events of 9/11 could never happen again on these soils. And that is a 24/7, 365, no-fail fighter wing mission that we fly every day. We scramble jets, we have jets on alert, gassed up, fueled up, weaponed up, ready to deploy in a moment's notice. All they need is the phone call. They will go up, they will intercept aircraft, targets of interest, people that are in restricted airspaces. They will escort them either out of those areas or, if need be, shoot them down. Let's move on then to the defense to support the civil authorities, where we go ahead and we partner with the lead federal agency. Most of the time it's the Federal Emergency Management Authority, FEMA, and let's take for instance Superstorm Sandy. While Superstorm Sandy flooded a lot of low-lying areas and subway systems in New York, and they did not have the pumping capability, so they turned to the Department of Defense and said, do you have this capability? And yes, we did. So we deployed personnel there to go ahead and the mission there is to mitigate the loss of life, limb, or property. Then we have the Theater Security Cooperation Agreement with our southern partners in Mexico. And this is a partnership that helps to mitigate the cross-border traffic of narcotics and people. And it also helps our border patrol enforce those border at a higher degree. Then there was a local newspaper in 1955 that published the wrong number for children to be able to call in and talk to Santa Claus. Inadvertently, that was the red phone at NORAD's command at Air Force Base in Colorado. Since then, we've been providing volunteers that track Santa's movement on Christmas Eve ever since. I've included the website here. It's something that I've been doing with my children for years, where you can get on the 1st of December. There's games, and it shows you the activities that are going on through the month of December and the busyness of the elves. And then once Christmas Eve comes, you can watch Santa Claus start his trek and go all across the world and delivering his gifts and packages and bringing joy to children all around the world. Really neat website. I encourage you to do it. It's really something that we just do with volunteers every year. So please, if you get a chance, go ahead and do that. So let me go ahead and summarize what we talked about here today. First, we talked about the mission of NORAD and NORTHCOM, and since NORAD's been doing this in one shape or form or another since 1951, we do detect and deter and defeat any threat to the continental United States. Defense to support the civil authorities, where we would go ahead and we would assist FEMA or other federal lead agencies in the assistance of getting people back to normal after a man-made or a natural disaster. And then the enduring partnerships that we have with the Theater Security Cooperation Agreement with Mexico, and our partnership through NORAD with Canada to go ahead and to keep North America safe. And lastly, the NORAD Santa Tracker. Please go ahead and tune in this Christmas time and see about tracking Santa and his travels. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time today.